Hello, welcome and welcome back to Hazel Jane Tarot. And today I'm doing something I've been promising to do for a long time, which is a review and a look at the Pre-Raphaelite Tarot. And now this is a Lo Scarabeo deck, and the little book is by Valeria Minozzi, and the artwork is by Giuliano Costa. So this is a deck that takes inspiration from the art of the Pre-Raphaelites, and that is an artistic style that I used to like, particularly when I was a teenager, but I do still quite like. So I thought I'd give the deck a try. I have ultimately decided that this is a deck I'm not going to keep, and I'll maybe have a little bit of chat about why that is as we're going through. But one of the things I wanted to do was show you today some of the paintings that the cards are based on. So this is not a deck that uses the original artwork. Giuliano Costa has repainted the images with tarot elements and like change. So rather than it being the art of different artists, it's all the art of one artist, which has homogenized the style throughout the deck, which means like it kind of the deck is quite visually harmonious, which is nice. So they've taken the composition of the original paintings and then added in tarot elements to make it like a tarot deck. Now, one thing, probably the major thing that I didn't like about this deck is in the little white book, and it is only a tiny little white book, so what they're able to do is limited, but they didn't include the names of the source paintings or the artists who did the source paintings in this guidebook, except for a few cases. Like, for example, there, for death, I don't know if you see that, sorry, for death, then you can see there's a little bit of a write-up about it's based on the painting Ophelia by John Everett Millay. So I would have liked that for every painting, and they didn't do that for every painting. I spent a massive amount of time trawling the internet, looking at Pre-Raphaelite paintings to try to find out which painting the image is based on. And I'm going to share what I've found out with you today. It's not the full deck. I haven't been able to find them all. I really lost the will at a certain point. But I will share with you what I found today. And if you know any of the others, please let me know in the comments below. So this is the back design, which is really nice. It reminds me of like some of those really over the top Victorian wallpapers. So I'm going to try to edit into the video the source painting so that you can compare it with the with Giuliano Costa's repainting for the tarot deck. So first of all, here we have the Magician, and the painting is called La Ghirlandata, and that's by Dante Gabriel Rossetti that it's based on. So the way the little white book is written, we have a little affirmation. So you have a myriad of talents to start your ascent, and then a series of keywords: initiative, initiation, talent, acuteness, and mastery. So in terms of the approach to the guidebook, that's quite good, I think, the little sentence and then the keywords. So here we have, as the Empress, a painting called Mona Vanna, also by Dante Gabriel Rossetti. The next one I could find is the Lovers. And here it is called The Beloved within the deck. And the painting that it's based on is The Tree of Forgiveness by Edward Burne-Jones. So that's quite a good fit for the Lovers card, obviously. For strength, they've used a painting, another Dante Gabriel Rossetti. This one is called A Sea Spell. And this is one of those ones, there's a number of images like this where the posture of the subject is the same, but like they've taken out a musical instrument or something and put other things in. And I don't think this is as effective as some of them, but you can see where the inspiration came from. For the Hermit, this is mentioned in the guidebook. That's based on The Light of the World by William Holman Hunt. Then we move on to Death, and this is the one I showed you before by John Everett Millay, the painting of Ophelia. Temperance. This seems to be based on The Loving Cup by Dante Gabriel Rossetti. And now for the Moon, we've got The Bower Meadow, also by Dante Gabriel Rossetti. I think it's kind of funny the way the dogs in the background, or the dog and the wolf, are imitating the posture of the dancers in the original painting. I don't get the moon from the original painting at all, and yeah, I think it's this one's a bit of a stretch for me. So then moving forward to the chalices, we've got the Ace of Chalices based on The Holy Grail by Dante Gabriel Rossetti, so that's a good fit. I have, in my mind, I think the inspiration for this Three of Chalices is from the triple portrait of May Morris by Dante Gabriel Rossetti. The colour of the dresses and the hair and so on, it just reminds me of it. Then for the Four of Chalices, we've got Gather Ye Rosebuds by John William Waterhouse. So obviously that's a painting based on a poem, Gather Ye Rosebuds While You May. That's quite a good fit actually for the meaning of the card. In the little white book it says, why are you going around with your head bowed when the way to look ahead is with your head up? Wasted opportunities, negativity. That really ties in with the meaning of the poem and how that, like, don't waste your time. Well, it's really a seduction poem, but anyway, it has a broader meaning of like making the most of your time and so on. So that's a fairly good fit for the Four. The Five of Chalices, we've got Destiny by John William Waterhouse. And then for the Six of Chalices, we have The Beloved by Dante Gabriel Rossetti. Neither of those two really speak to the composition-wise, yes, but the Rider-Waite-Smith meanings, I don't really get that. Like the guidebook here says memories of the past childhood. I don't really see it, but anyway. Then the Seven of Chalices, this is a better fit, I think. We have Pandora by John William Waterhouse being echoed here, and the idea of like be careful what you wish for and what's in the box, that fits quite well. The Nine of Chalices, I couldn't find a particular source painting, but as far as I can tell, this looks like a portrait of Dante Gabriel Rossetti himself. This guy looks like him, and the little PRB, the Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood thing in his hand. And some of the famous paintings are referenced in the background. In fact, this painting is used later in one of the other cards. So then we have, for the Two of Pentacles, A Vision of Fiammetta by Rossetti. This Four of Pentacles seems to be based on The Yeoman of the Guard by John Everett Millay. The Seven of Pentacles, and that quite works, it echoes the Rider-Waite-Smith Seven of Pentacles, but I don't know, again, how the original painting fits in. This is Isabella and the Pot of Basil by William Waterhouse, I think. And then we have April Love for the Nine of Pentacles, April Love by Arthur Hughes. Then onto the Wands, this image seems to be based on the Daydream by Rossetti, and this, again, the composition, and they've just added in a wand. Then for the Two of Wands, this looks like John Millay's painting of Portrait of John Ruskin. And then for the Three of Wands, Miranda by John William Waterhouse, and this is a painting of the Tempest, Miranda from the Tempest from Shakespeare. For the Three of Wands, where this doesn't really fit for me is you're waiting for your ship to come in, but the ship's being wrecked. That doesn't quite fit for me, although maybe if I thought more about how the play unfolds and the possibilities that the shipwreck offer to Miranda, maybe there's something there. But yeah, it's okay. It's just maybe not as optimistic maybe as I would normally think of with the three. But if I go deeper into the play, maybe yes. Then the Four of Wands, we have the Song of Springtime, again by John William Waterhouse. Yeah, doesn't quite fit my understanding of the card. Another one I struggled with is this one. So the Six of Wands, we've got John Collier's Lady Godiva. Now, the meaning in the Little White Book is your right to be happy, optimism, success, good news, and victory. But the posture of Lady Godiva in the painting, in the card, does not speak to victory. You know, it speaks to shame, and yeah, so that doesn't really fit for me. This one I picked out just because it's inspired, obviously, by the Solibusca Ten of Swords. Then onto the swords, we've got Venus Verticordia by Rossetti for the Ace of Swords. The Two of Swords, this fits quite well, actually, the way the painting has been changed. This is Beata Bellatrix by Rossetti. And then for the Three of Swords, this is Ecce Ancilla Domini, which is basically the Annunciation, also by Rossetti. And this has the Three of Swords, Solibusca, Three of Swords kind of put in the front. That doesn't really fit for me, the Three of Swords with the idea of the Annunciation is kind of two very different ideas for me. The Little White Book says demanding tasks must be accepted in order to grow, which makes sense, I guess, for the Annunciation, but again, doesn't fit so much for my vision of that card, or my understanding of it. So the Four of Swords, we've got The Death of Chatterton by Henry Wallace. For the Five of Swords, we've got the Perseus Slaying the Dragon by Burne-Jones. For the Six of Swords, we've got Waterhouse's The Lady of Shalott. Now, the fact that the Lady of Shalott is going on her own in the boat to her death in the poem and the painting doesn't really fit, again, with my understanding of the Six of Swords, although the way the image has been reimagined fits with the Rider-Waite-Smith Six of Swords, and I'm probably just being too fussy. But anyway, then for the Seven, we have the posture here of William Waterhouse's Ophelia. Although, of course, you can see the costume is different and so on, but the posture of the figure is the same. And again, Ophelia doesn't fit for me with the Seven of Swords, especially in this image where she's gathering the flowers and she's going into mental collapse. Ophelia, from the character from Hamlet, obviously from the play. So yeah, that doesn't fit quite for me. Then the Knight of Swords, I've figured this out, is a painting by Edward Robert Hughes, and this is called Dream Idyll, a Valkyrie. So yeah, it fits fairly well, I guess. And the Queen of Swords, we've got Veronica Veronese by Rossetti. And to me, this Queen of Swords is just, the character in the painting is, there's too much ennui in her face for the Queen of Swords. So that doesn't really fit for me. So you can see that while the art is really beautiful, really nicely done, and the way, the style of some quite very different paintings like The Light of the World or April Love, which have a very different painterly quality, the way the cards have all been rendered sort of makes those differences go away, and there's more of a kind of softer, maybe more Rossetti inspired feel to the whole deck. So just to give you a quick look through some of the other cards. So we've got the Fool, the High Priestess. Many of these may also be based on original paintings, but I was not able to find them. And eventually, I think through the process of trying to search out those other paintings, I think it took so much effort to find what paintings they were based on that I kind of started to lose interest in the deck. Whereas if it had come with a comprehensive guidebook that pointed me to all these paintings in the first place and maybe unpicked some of the symbolism in the original paintings, so that's the Devil, and then explained how the creators felt that those original paintings resonated with the tarot, I would maybe be able to go with it more. But because I had to put the effort in to find them myself, I think that sort of put me off. So those are the rest of the majors. Then into the minors, within the Pentacles. I think some of these I actually had found the painting and hadn't written it down, because I believe I did find a painting for that one. and this one. I think there was an original source painting for that. Now into some of the swords, the 8, the 9, there may be a painting for that one. In fact, I think I did see a Rossetti painting that had that posture, but I hadn't written it down, and this one as well. So into the 9 of Wands. Sorry, I'm just showing you the rest of the cards. There's a little timer on my phone here as I'm taking this, where I'm going to run out of time in a couple of minutes. This one I think there was also a source painting for, so I'm sorry that's a bit of kind of a half story, in that I obviously had got to a point where I'd stopped writing them down for the last couple. And then the quartz, I have a feeling each of the quartz are just kind of originals by Giuliano Costa. You know, to get something that fits with all of these different queens and kings and so on, that there weren't enough specifically like that. This guy reminds me of like a young Henry VIII or something. But so I think some of the court cards are maybe original paintings rather than based on a source painting. So that's the quartz for the pentacles. That though looks quite specific, doesn't it? That might be based on an original painting. So the deck itself, the cardstock, it's Lo Scarabeo, so it's a mass market deck. It's easy to shuffle. I'm probably going to do a terrible job of it right now, but yeah, it's like, it's bendy, and you could riffle shuffle it if you weren't trying to do it on camera. It's, you know, it shuffles fine. So I think if you like the vibe of the deck, then you probably would enjoy reading with it. And it's enough based on the Rider-Waite that I think it is easy enough to read with. And it is beautiful and colourful, and, you know, makes for a very nice spread, especially if somebody likes a sort of classical feel to their cards, you know, like them to have an old feel without being, you know, like the traditional Rider-Waite or something like that. But it's not really resonating for me. It's also, in repainting all these images, there's no diversity being introduced either. So it's okay. But for me, this is something I'm going to be moving on. So I'd love to hear your thoughts below. Thanks for watching.